Welcome back to the Oakleaf Sports Report. I'm your host, Sean Dougherty, and as always, it is my pleasure to bring to you everything you need to know in the world of Bear Cub athletics. We've been off the air for the last 2 weeks due to some technical difficulties, but we're back to get you caught up everything that is Bear Cub sports. The regular season for the fall semester has ended, and we're here to get you caught up on who's in, who's out, and what has happened in the playoffs so far, as well as to recap the various fall sports. First, let's go and take a look at both of your Bear Cub water polo teams. First, let's take a look at the men's team, who had a rough season. The boys in the water finished with the season with a 7-21 overall record and a disappointing 1-6 conference record. The lone conference win came against Delta late in the season, and at that point, it was a little too late. Head coach Tyler Denise will have to wait until next year to get 7 new players in at the freshman level and rely on his returning players to turn this team around. The women's water polo team started off not playing very good. In fact, the team lost its first 7 games before picking up the first conference win against Modesto. The Bear Cubs also really struggled in the tournament format, never winning more than 1 game at any given tournament. However, what the Bear Cubs did do a good job of was keeping things close in their conference. The Bear Cubs went 5-5 in their conference, and that was good enough to get them into the playoffs as the 5 seed in Northern California. In the playoffs, the Bear Cubs faced against Modesto, one of their conference rivals, and were victorious 6-1. And that would advance them to the Northern California Championships, where they lost a heartbreaker to the 4 seed Sierra. And that would finish their season ranked 5th in Northern California. Head coach Jill McCormick has reason to be excited for next season, as the Bear Cubs have 8 freshmen that are eligible to return for their sophomore season. The Bear Cub wrestling team traveled to Fresno to take on Fresno City College last Wednesday, and they were smoked 46-6 for their first conference loss in dual meets this season. The Bear Cubs didn't have long time to worry about that loss, as they had the Coast Conference tournament to compete in on Saturday, and you could tell that they were a little upset from that loss against Fresno City, because they went into the Coast Conference tournament and dominated, finishing first place out of the 5 teams that competed. Up next for the Bear Cubs is the Northern California Regional Tournament in Stockton on Saturday, December 1st. That's going to be the final tournament before the CCC-AA State Championships, which will be held in Lemoore on December 7th and 8th. The Bear Cub current record in conference is 3-1, and they are ranked 14th in the state of California. Over to the Bear Cub football team, had its first losing season in a number of years, and I think in part that had to do with the fact that freshman quarterback David Sowards suffered an injury to his throwing hand and missed 2 crucial games for the Bear Cubs after being injured on September 22nd against American River. The Portland, Oregon native would be inactive for the games against Fresno City College and Butte City College. 2 games that the Bear Cubs could have very easily have won if their starting quarterback was not sitting on the sidelines. Sowards is a freshman and hopefully will be returning to the Bear Cubs next season. And with a few additions on both sides of the ball, this team will be right back in as one of Northern California's powerhouse football teams. Sowards ranked 2nd in NorCal Conference with 256 yards per game and was 3rd in touchdown passes with 18. That was not the only star that the Bear Cubs had on offense. Sophomore wide receiver and Sowards' former teammate from Clackamas High School in Portland, Jordan Bergstrom, finished 3rd in receiving yards per game with 69.1. The Bear Cubs defense is going to take a bit of a hit this offseason, as they are set to lose one of their best defensive linemen. Garrett Guinella, who is a local standout at Cardinal Newman High School, has played his last game in a Bear Cub uniform. And we are sad to see this young man leave the junior college. Guanella ranked third in tackles per game, and 10th in sacks with 4. Along with Guanella, freshman Mike Tua'ua had an impressive season. After a season-ending injury in the first series of the first game last year, Tua'ua was ready to make an impression this season, and he did just that. The Rancho Cotati High School standout was third in the NorCal Conference in sacks with 8. He also added 40 solo tackles, which was good for 11th overall. He was 8th in assists, 9th in tackles per game with 6.8, and he was 2nd in sack yards with 52. Because of his injury last season, the local standout will be eligible to come back and play next season. Head coach Keith Simons has a lot to look forward to and a lot of work to be done to get the Bear Cubs where the school and the fans expect them to be. The Bear Cubs finished the season with a 3-7 overall record and were just a mere 1-4 in the conference. The Bear Cubs soccer teams were absolutely dominant during the regular season. The men's team started out the season on Monday, August 27th in Los Angeles against one of Southern California's powerhouse teams, Mount Sac. And they lost that game 4-0. But after that game, the Bear Cubs would win their next 3 games, then lose to the reigning state champion San Francisco City College 2-0. But after that, the Bear Cubs went on an absolute tear, and in their next 12 games, went 10-0-2, destroying the Big 8 Conference during that span. The Bear Cubs would finish the season Big 8 champions and posted a 14-3-3 overall record and went 6-1-1 in conference, and with that one loss coming at the hands of San Francisco City College. And as I mentioned earlier, they were the reigning state champions from last season. The Bear Cubs went on to the playoffs as the 4 seed and were matched up against 13 seed Cabrillo this past Saturday here at the JC. And in a wet, cold, miserable game, the Bear Cubs were actually upset 1-0 to end their season. Not the way that head coach Marty Kinahan would wanted to end this season. However, we do want to congratulate the men's team on a great season, and no one can take away the fact that they are the current reigning Big 8 champs. The women's team headed into the season had a cloud of uncertainty hanging over their heads. While the Bear Cubs are the reigning state champions, they did have to replace their head coach and brought in former University of California player and coach Tracy Ham. This would wind up being a great decision on the part of Dr. Jim Forcum, athletic director of your Santa Rosa Junior College Bear Cubs. The fact is, head coach Tracy Ham brought in a high level of intensity and also a level of experience to the reigning state champions that served the team extremely well. Here's what I mean. In the team's first 7 wins of the season, the Bear Cubs did not allow a single goal in those games. And the Bear Cubs have won 12 games by way of the shutout. And in the 20 games that they played this season, they have only allowed 9 goals. That is what here at the Oakleaf Sports Report we like to call a domination sensation. The Bear Cubs finished the regular season with a 15-3-2 overall record and dominated the Big 8, going 11-1-2, with the only loss coming against conference rival Sierra, who are ranked 5th in Northern California and 13th in the state. The Bear Cubs did manage to defeat Sierra at home to avenge that loss 3-0 in the second game between the two teams. The Bear Cubs finished the season ranked 3rd in Northern California and 7th overall in the state. This past Saturday, the Bear Cubs, as I mentioned, who were the 3 seed in Northern California and in the playoffs, took on 14th seed Taft College for their first playoff game. And it went basically like every other Bear Cub victory. The Bear Cubs won the game by the way of the shutout, 1-0. We're getting right now, actually, the Bear Cubs were playing their second playoff game during the recording of this segment, and it looks like that, unfortunately, they lost to American River 8-7. So it looks like the game came down to penalties. The Bear Cubs came up a little short, so this means that the Bear Cubs will not repeat as state champions. It's a sad day here at the Oakleaf Sports Report. However, what a great job first-year head coach Tracy Hamp and the girls did of getting back to the playoffs, winning the Big 8 championship, and getting as far as they did. The crew of the Oakleaf Sports Report do want to congratulate the women's soccer team on a great season. The Bear Cub volleyball team has consistently been maybe the best team this junior college has had over the last decade. And this season just goes to prove that point. This may wind up being a historic season for the Bear Cubs. They finished the season perfect in conference play with a 14-0 record, and of course they were the Big 8 conference champions. They finished the season 23-2 overall, and when you look at this season game by game, it is absolutely impressive what this team has accomplished during that span. 21 out of the 23 wins came by the way of sweep, meaning they did not lose a set in those matches. They had a 24-set winning streak, followed by a 22-set winning streak during the season. And they are currently riding a 17-game match winning streak that goes all the way back to September 19th. This goes to show you how great of a job head coach Kelly Wood has done with this team year in and year out. The Bear Cubs' 2 losses came at the hands of Feather River and Fresno City College. Fresno is ranked the #1 team in Northern California and #2 in the state of California. And Feather River is ranked 2nd in Northern California and 3rd in the state. The Bear Cubs are right behind both of those 2 teams as they are ranked 3rd in Northern California and 4th in the state. The Bear Cubs open up their playoffs against the 14th seed Yuba City College. And don't think just because this team is ranked 14th in the tournament that the Bear Cubs are going to push this team around. The fact is, Yuba finished the season 23-1 and were the Bay Valley Conference champs. And if there's any team that are going to be unfazed by their opponent, it would be the Bear Cubs. But you know what? As we've seen so far this playoff season, upsets do happen. Once again, we want to wish the Bear Cubs the best of luck as they head into the Northern California tournament. While the fall semester sports season is winding down, one sport that is actually just getting started is both the men's and women's basketball teams. The men's team opened up their season 2 weekends ago in the San Francisco City College tournament, and the Bear Cubs faced off against San Francisco City College in the first game and unfortunately lost that game 86-76. But rebounded back by crushing Porterville 92-70 and then beating College of Marin 59-48. Last weekend, the Bear Cubs traveled to Fresno to compete in the Fresno City Tournament. And much like the San Francisco City Tournament, won 2 out of 3 games, crushing Feather River 93-64, then lost to host Fresno City College 85-77, but bounced back and absolutely destroyed Lassen by 31 points, 97-66. Up next, the Bear Cubs will travel to Monterey to compete in the Monterey Peninsula Tournament November 29th through December 2nd. The women's basketball team competed in the Merced Tournament in Merced and in the first game beat Cypress 51-45, then beat San Jose 57-49, and then finally, in a close one, beat Fresno City College 76-70 to win the Merced Tournament Championship. We want to say congratulations to our Bear Cubs for picking up their hardware in the first tournament of the season. Up next, the Bear Cubs will travel to Visalia November 29th through December 2nd to compete in the College of the Sequoias tournament. We want to wish both teams best of luck in their upcoming tournaments. Finally, it has been a great semester of Bear Cub sports action, and it has been my pleasure to bring to you everything. All the sports scores, all the news, all the ups and downs, the triumphs, the failures. The fact is, there are going to be losses, and those losses make the wins that much sweeter. Watching what both soccer teams have done this year has been a treat. Watching what the volleyball team has done has been historic. Being the one who gets to bring to you and share with you, the Bear Cub Nation, all this great sports action is priceless. I have truly cherished this semester of Bear Cub Sports and can't wait to bring to you everything that has happened in the upcoming weeks. That's all for this episode of the Oakleaf Sports Report. I'm your host, Sean Dougherty. Join us next week on the Oakleaf Sports Report, as you never know who might be stopping by. Finally, as I've said to you all semester long, you can only win the games in which you play, so be sure to play the game. Thank you.